Welcome to Sessions with Coach April, where real conversations meet real solutions. I'm your host, April Hogan, and I'm joined by your other host.
Hey y'all, it's Cass.
All right, so today we're talking about systems that buy back your peace and your profit. Because if you're doing it all, then you're doing it wrong. But of course, before we hop in, I have to ask my bestie, how are you doing today, Cass?
Well, now that we got this computer stuff figured out, I'm better. We're
So,
having technical difficulties, but I'm good. I'm great. I'm blessed. I'm grateful. How are you?
yeah. So you guys, she kind of gave you the hint. We've been having some issues. This is take three. All right. So we're gonna hop right in. So we're gonna talk about the hustle trap. We glorify as people. We glorify being busy, but burnout isn't a badge of honor. And I do want to say, you can be busy doing nothing. So why do you think so many women and or men wear the grind like it's proof that they're worthy?
I feel like it's because we've been conditioned and we have to. As mothers, entrepreneurs, black women, women in general, many different cultures, and not just black people, but speaking for our people, we've always been told we had to. Nobody want to save you. You have to just figure it out. You have to keep going. You can't quit. People are depending on you. You got to set an example. You got to be the generational curse breaker. We just been conditioned that we had to. So we kind of didn't have a choice, whether it was from other people putting that on us and then we chose to continue to carry that, or we just knew nobody was going to save us, and so we put it on ourselves. But we always been told we had to. That's the story of our people.
So I think it is the American dream, the myth of the American dream, right? We have this vision of what the American dream looks like. And because we have this vision of what the American dream looks like, we're consistently trying to reach it. So,
Mm-hmm.
consistently trying to reach it means even when we get to a space where we were further than we were yesterday, further than we were last week, the year before, it's still not enough because it's not the American dream yet, right? There's
Mm-hmm.
still more to get, not realizing that there's always going to be more to get. So there's a space where you have to realize that you have to enjoy the journey that you're in right now. I just, back in August, I met at an event, Jeff Hoffman. And one of the stories that he spoke about was how big is your boat?
Mm-hmm.
So he had this guy, and I'm gonna make it real quick. He was telling us about this guy who he had a boat, and every time he saw a boat bigger than his goal was to have the biggest boat in the ocean. So he'd do more to get a bigger boat. Then I got a bigger boat, but then he see a boat bigger. So then he'd do more to get the bigger boat, and he'd do more to do, and he continued to do that to where he lost sight of the things that were important. So there's a place in your space where you have to figure out how big is your boat, how big is big enough, right? Like because otherwise you're always going to be on the grind, and it's really not glorified. I hate the word grind. I say it all the time, but I hate the word grind. It's not glorified because you're not going to enjoy the fruit of your labor. You can't take it with you when you go. So
Right.
that's my answer.
Yeah. So, what's the first thing someone can automate or delegate today that will make their business feel lighter by tomorrow?
So when we think of delegation, we always think of hiring.
Mm-hmm.
So before we even talk about work, right? And when you talk about life in general, delegate in your house. Like if you have kids, what can the kids do? Like can they clean the dishes? Can they cook on a day? Give them a specific day to cook. My kids hate it, but give them
Yeah.
film for themselves, even if they're not cooking for everybody, cook for themselves. Like what can you do in your personal life that you can hand off? If you don't have kids, listen, I'm not against saying, hey, I need someone to clean my house. I'll get a cleaner, right? I'll have somebody come clean my house. Of course, I still do my cleaning too, but that whole deep cleaning, things that I don't have time for. So I always say, start there. If you learn to delegate in your personal life, it makes it easier to delegate in your business. So then from there is automation. There are things that you can automate in your workspace, whether it's in your software, whether it's emails, whether it's, communications. We now have AI that you can automate that you don't even have to pay a person to do, but you can have your system set up to be able to automate. That's still a form of delegation. And then
Mm-hmm.
from there, you figure out where is it that you're struggling the most in organization, whether it's emails, communication to clients, communication to leads, whatever that looks like, where because we all have our strengths and we have our weaknesses. So what areas do you need the most help? And in those areas, It's not for you to do everything. You're not supposed to be the finance team and the marketing team and the customer service team. You're supposed to have people who help with those things. So find those areas that you are like, hey, like this isn't my strength, or I just really don't like doing this part, and then delegate that to somebody else. What about
Hmm.
you?
I agree, and I love the automation piece. Because, like I said, even in your home life, you can automate. Put your bills on autopay, so you ain't gonna stress about it. Now, just know that if you got Apple, they're gonna snatch that shit all the time. So if you put it on autopay, they snatch it. I hate Apple. They get me. But I mean, put it. You're somebody who forgets to do things. Write it down. My mom used to do that all the time. She had calendars everywhere. She had a chalkboard on the refrigerator, or not on the refrigerator, but on the wall. And then she had like a magnet whiteboard on the refrigerator. Write everything down if that's what helps you. Little things like that can go a long way to where you don't feel like you're losing your mind all the time.
Right. Right. Absolutely.
So let's talk structure. So how do you build systems that make peace just as measurable as profit?
So it starts off by knowing your business, right? We always get into a business and we just start working, but we never really learn the true identity of our business and how it operates.
Mm-hmm.
So if you're just going with the flow, just moving, right, then you're always discovering something because you don't really know the identity of your business. So it's hard to say that I have a system of how to do something if I don't even really have a structure or documented process of how I run my business.
Mm-hmm.
So it's really important to either know the identity of your business or build the identity of your business. If you don't know it, you build it, right? So,
Mm-hmm.
how does your business speak to your customers? What all does your business do specifically, right? Like it's easy to say, oh, we do marketing. What kind of marketing do you do? There's so many different types of marketing. Oh, we do customer, we do call center, but what type of customers, how do you service your customers? Because even a call center, there's many different levels of communication to the customers in a call center. So it's knowing what your business does, understanding what you guys do down to the smallest detail. My business coach says if you know the story of your business, then no one can write it for you. And I used to always tell people all the time, even when I was coaching, know what you do so nobody has to tell you what you do. When
Mm-hmm.
someone has to tell you, what I mean by that is someone saying, you do this. And because you don't know what your business does, oh, I can do that. But it's not even something you like to do. You're looking it up as you're going. You know what I'm saying? Like know what your business does and be really good at what your business does so you don't have to figure out what it does. So when you know what your business does, then it's easy to have a process that says, okay, this is what we do. Now this is how we do it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I would say when we're talking about structure, building systems that have a blueprint of exactly what you do, then you're not guessing. Then it makes it easier to automate because you can take steps that can be done automatically, whether it's through a system, whatever, because you actually know what your business does. So I always have to start with the core. Know
Yeah.
what your business does. All right,
Mm-hmm.
same question.
I agree because I mean, even as we're going through our system of like walking new businesses through like, frameworks and things like that, it's one thing to be like, okay, I like I said, I kind of know what I do as a business, but I could do this, I could do that. But once you put systems in place where everybody is accountable to those systems and follow those systems and they understand the groundwork and the framework of what you do and they understand the structure, anybody can go out and say the same thing. If you ask me, if you ask Ariel, or if you ask Kizzy, all of us should be able to say the exact same thing when somebody says, what does your business do? What is Neighborhood Innovations about? What do you guys do? If everybody has to give a different answer and we're making it up as we go along all the time, we don't have a great structure or framework in place. Everybody should, it should be like a well rehearsed movie script. Everybody should be able to say the exact same thing and know exactly what we do without having to guess and fumble and stutter around. That's how you know you put a great system in place.
Absolutely. That's about the identity of the business though. Like
Mm-hmm.
it you can't get to know a business if there is no identity. And a lot of businesses don't have identity. Instead, the owner is the identity. The owner should not be the identity. The business is a totally different entity than the owner, right? Something I had to learn the hard way. So it should have its own identity. That way people can actually get to know the business, not have to get to know the owner because the owner is the only one who really understands or doesn't understand and is just making it up as they go. So what's your favorite way to identify the tasks that drain your energy versus the ones that actually grow your business?
Well, I mean, we always talk about how if you don't measure it, then it doesn't count, right? If you don't measure it, you can't track how it's going, and you can't hold it accountable to anything. So writing things down, yes, it's a pain. Yes, it gets annoying. Yes, I hate typing. Yes, I hate tasks. But they really do work. If you don't have somebody to look back and go, okay, I did this and this was the outcome, you're not going to know what you're doing right to replicate it, to keep doing it. When you're describing your wins and describing how you got to where you got to, you won't know what to say contributed to it because you just did everything and you didn't track anything and nothing was measured. The same way when you're cooking, when people, good cooks get to a point where they go, I can just eyeball it. I can just put this in my hand. I know it's about right because I can eyeball it. Those people have spent time measuring and documenting things to know if I add too much of this, it's going to come out this way. If I add too less of this, it's not going to taste just right enough. You don't get there once you measure things and track things to know what you're doing.
Yeah, and I think definitely planning. So like it's easy to say like we want to do these things, right? Like, but a lot of times we just start doing. And when you start doing, it's hard to identify the stuff that really doesn't make any sense. So we actually did an activity the other week or the other day, yesterday, where we were game planning for a specific part of our business and we were making a flow. So let's think of what if we would have done that the other way and we would have just started building the flow? We would have started doing a whole bunch of unnecessary shit. When if you build it, you paint a picture, you know what it looks like and why it looks that way. So then when you start building all those, you understand why you're doing it, and you know you've eliminated things that really doesn't matter. So I definitely say that it's planning and not just doing. So many people are so excited to do, and I'll admit I get into those spaces, and I'm learning the hard way not to do that. But yeah, plan first. Like, this is what I want to do. This is why I want to do it. This is the goal. My dev guy always, anytime I send him a new assignment or a new task, so what's the goal of this? Oh my gosh, just do it. No. But I love that he does that because it helps me map it out for him because he could just start. And then when he starts, it's like, but this isn't what I asked for. Okay. But you didn't give me a goal, right? Like, I don't know what the goal is. You didn't give me everything I needed. So it is important to plan. That way you understand what you're doing, what you're delivering. You do the research within that space. And then what you're eliminating the stuff that is draining because you didn't even have to start it. So yeah.
Yeah, I think a lot of times, especially people who are just used to doing, they get so caught up in, well, I know how to do it, and I can tell you how to do it, but it's like, no, because people who have innovative minds, you might do it one way this time, and the next time you do it, you go, oh, I should did it this way last time, and this way is better. But those processes aren't for you. Therefore, if something happens to you, you can tell somebody else, this is how I did it. Now you go back and repeat my steps, and you should be able to get the same results on that.
Right. Absolutely. So automation isn't cold. It's compassionate to your future self, right? Especially as we get up there. I'm not gonna say, oh, but we aging, right? So we'll be right back after this short break with ways to turn chaos into calm.
Congratulations, you're a home-based business owner. Freedom, flexibility, and your living room is HQ. It's the dream, right? But just because you work from home doesn't mean the world should know it. Your home address doesn't belong on business registrations, public records, or client invoices. At Rich Innovations, we protect your business and your privacy with our virtual mailbox services. Get a real business address, secure mail handling and digital access without ever leaving home. Separate your personal life from your business. Stay compliant, look professional, and protect your home and your brand. Your address matters. Sign up for your virtual mailbox today.
All right, welcome back, you guys. So you are listening to Sessions with Coach April, and we are talking about how to keep your systems running even when you're rested. So right now we're going to talk about peace as a metric.
So, what does peace look like as a KPI? And for those who don't know what a KPI is, it is a key performance indicator. What does peace look like as a KPI? Something leaders can actually measure.
To me, I think it looks like when you're able to step back and take a break and just observe. And then it's like a well-oiled machine. Even if there's like some glitches and some things that gotta be, fixed and tweaked or whatever. But for the most part, you can take a step back and your business will still run and still function without you. You're not stressing about who's gonna do this and how's this gonna get done. There are people in places who are like, I've got it. You can take a step back, it's fine, don't worry about it. That's the biggest KPI that I could think of when it comes to looking at, is my business or is it successful at this point? Can it run without me? That's the biggest one for me.
Yeah, I would definitely say your time is your business KPI, biggest KPI as an entrepreneur, because, or even as a leader, say you lead a team of people, your time, because if your time means you're integrated into the business so much that it can't be done without you, then how successful is how successful is that concept of peace, right? There's no peace in that.
Right.
So with the KPI of time, with the measurement of time, when we're able to now have more time to ourselves or away from the business, because people.
You froze up, so right now on my screen it's still frozen. So,
So for me, I think how you measure peace as a CEO or as even a leader that leads a team is with your time. Because if you have time to actually do other things, so I want you to think of it in this aspect. If you don't have time because you're so integrated into the business where every part of the business needs you, then how do you see peace out of that, right? So instead, how you measure your peace and how well your team is doing is in time, the time that you now don't have to be integrated into the business or into that department or into that role, because your team can carry out those tasks for you, because you trust your team and your team trusts themselves, which starts with your trust in your direction. So really, the only way to really measure peace as a KPI is with your time.
right. So how can our listeners learn to rest without the guilt once those systems start doing their job?
I don't feel like you're gonna have guilt when you see it going though,
Yeah,
right? Like if anything, you're gonna have parts where you're like, oh, I really want to do something.
yeah,
But I think when it's almost a proud moment, at least for me, it's almost a proud moment where it's like, oh man, like, and then you get to innovate. So
mhm,
you get to do other things, right? Like of course not too much because you still don't want to stress your team out, but
yeah,
you now think of other avenues to expand, to stay with the time. So I don't think it's really stressful, if anything. And if you or get guilt, if you do feel guilt, just go back and look at where you what you could have been doing, right? Like you could have been having to do all this hard work, and instead, because of the fruits of your labor and because of having systems that are built, because you have a good team, right? Now you get to enjoy, right? Like, and it doesn't mean that you no longer work, you're still part of the team, but it just gives you more freedom to be able to expand or even rest. So what about you?
yeah. I mean, I agree. I think it's almost like being a parent, because we're at that age where our kids are getting grown in the face where they don't need us to be on hand 24/7. So I was talking to my cousin and she was saying how her last son just graduated and now all her kids are pretty much grown. And she's like, I don't know what to do with myself. And if they into this phase of their lives where it's not like mommy all the time and everybody can work and everybody's self-sufficient. So I don't think that it's so much guilt because most people who are entrepreneurs and innovators, like you said, they look at that as an opportunity to go, okay, what else can I do? When you're a business owner, you're always looking for ways to expand and get better and get bigger. Even if your goal isn't to be like a Tyler Perry or Oprah Winfrey, you still want to grow what you built and you want to nurture it. So you're going to find other things to do so where it's not so much as guilt, it's just pivoting in a different direction and going, how can I expand this? So I don't think that it's so much as guilt. I just think that once you get to that point, you're like, okay, I got to this mountaintop. There's always another mountain. In business, there's always another mountain. But don't look at it as guilt. Just look at it as how can I be innovative and do something else with this free time.
And actually, I know a lot of billionaires who are like, so instead of me having to put all this time into this business because it's running on its own, now I'm putting money into helping people, into
Yeah,
giving back, and to go into these countries where they need, right? Like now I can dedicate my time and my resources into helping, people in need because my team's got it, right? So
mhm.
I definitely think there's other avenues you'll now take. You'll have other passions that now you're able to involve yourself in.
Yeah.
So we're going to go ahead and do our takeaways real quick. So my takeaway is peace is the new profit margin, okay, as a business owner.
Yep. And mine is systems are how you cash it in.
Absolutely. Listen, I live by systems. And just so you know, you guys, we're solutions architects, which means we help you build those systems. So if you need help please, please, please set up a free discovery call with us so we can help you identify exactly how you can set up those systems. So next week, not next week, because of course we do a rerun week, but our next new episode is going to be the 7-figure friendship, building a team without breaking the bank. And we will see you next time. Bye.
Bye.